Week 2 overview. This video is intended to get you familiar with what to expect for our Week 2 studies. Let's take a look by starting at the Week 2 introduction. For Week 2, we are going to be learning to understand the income statement and the balance sheet. The balance sheet is going to give us a snapshot in time of what is owned or the assets of a company, what is owed or the debt or liabilities of a company, and then what's left over, what we call equity, net worth, or book value. We're going to learn how to read and understand a balance sheet, and that can be a little challenging because there's so much information in just that one document. So we're going to try to make it as simple as we can and go through the basics. We're also going to look at the income statement. That shows you your revenues minus your expenses to give you your net income and how profitable you are. We're going to be looking at the financial statements for this week, and later we're going to look at some ratios or some key performance indicators that will help you to analyze these financial statements that we're going to learn to understand this week. Typically, we're going to be looking at the income statement and the balance sheet the most, but we are going to take a look also at the statement of owner's equity and the statement of cash flows. Later, we do have a chapter that will cover in detail the statement of cash flows. For right now, we're going to take a look at the objectives and the learning outcomes for week 2. The first one is to explain how different business formations are accounted for in a balance sheet. The second one is to discuss how merchandising companies handle sales on an income statement. For activities and assignments this week, it's important to make sure that you review all of your reading and resources. You have a week 2 discussion board, a week 2 assignment, and the team project plan, and we'll go over each of them in detail. For the readings and resources, the textbook chapters this week are chapters 3 and 4, chapter 3 being the balance sheet, chapter 4 is the income statement. Another important document provided here is a PowerPoint slide. This is the Financial Statement Basics PowerPoint. This is going to help you see how financial statements are prepared, the basic format, and help you with a week 2 assignment. So make sure you take a look at that. We have some additional resources here that are going to help you assist you in learning how to do some of the analysis, whether it's this week or even in your project. So you see there's an article here that talks about vertical analysis through Investopedia. There's also a horizontal analysis of the income statement. And then one thing I do want to point out is there is an example here of the common size income statement. You are going to be preparing one in your assignment, and you're also going to do one in your project. So it's important to understand how to do those. So there's a video here that will walk you through the basics of what to do. And then finally, the last video is discussing the different types of audit opinions. Our book doesn't cover this in detail, so it's important to make sure you watch the video to have that strong understanding of those. All right, let's take a look at our work for the week. The first one is our week 2 assignment. There's going to be 3 types of problems. In the first set, you're going to be classifying accounts into assets, liabilities, equities, revenue, and expenses. In the second one, you're going to classify which financial statement you're going to find each account on. As we dive in a little further, you're going to create an income statement, a statement of owner's equity, and a balance sheet, and upload them, and then answer some questions about what you prepared. Last, you're going to look at the income statement that's presented to you, and you're going to prepare a common size analysis or a common size income statement. Again, refer back to that video and to be able to see what to do. So let's take a look at what they look like. When we log in the first one, we can see that there are different answers down here below, and we are going to be dragging those answers to match the category that they belong into. You will drag each answer to a correct category. The second one, you're going to drag each type of account into whether it goes in the income statement or whether it goes on the balance sheet. Again, you'll use all of them. Next, this is the information you're going to use to prepare your income statement, your statement of owner's equity, and your balance sheet. You're going to prepare them. You can use Excel or Word. I would say Excel is probably easier. And then you're going to attach them here by clicking Browse and uploading your documents. After you do that, you're going to answer the next 4 questions that are multiple choice regarding the answers that you have gotten from your financial statements. The last set is preparing a common size income statement, and you are going to use this guideline here to prepare a common size income statement. You're going to attach it. Again, you can use Excel. And then after you do that, you're going to input the answers, the percentages down here in the last answer. So that's all there is for this assignment. Again, it's labeled as a quiz. In some areas, you're going to see quiz when it pops up, but it's not a quiz. It is just an assignment. If we go back and look at the rest of chapter or week 2, we're going to see that we have a discussion board. This discussion board is set up for an ethical evaluation. You do have an initial response you should post by Thursday, and then you have 2 peer responses to post by Sunday. There is a rubric associated with the discussion board, so you can click on that and see the rubric so that you know the expectation and you know how to earn the full points. So it's in there, it's very detailed, and that's going to be your guide for your discussion boards each time we have them. It does ask, it gives you a scenario, then it's asking you 2 questions. You need to respond in paragraph format, answering the questions that are posed for each. The final assignment for week 2 is the team project plan. For this, you actually have a template that you're going to open, and it's going to show you what the different sections of the project are, and you are going to look at who's assigned in your team, and you guys will decide which member you are. So if you either are assigned to a 4-member group or a 5-member group. So if we open the template, we are going to see it defaults to the 4-member, but if it's a 5-member, I'll show you that screen as well. But what we see is it has the different types, the different sections of the project. So if you have a 4-member group, member 1 is going to do the company background, the horizontal analysis, and commenting on the trends. Member 2 is going to do the getting to know the annual report, corporate governance, computing the measures of financial condition and net worth ratios for 2 years. And then member 3 is going to do a review of the letter to shareholders, the ratios for 2 years for measures of profitability, as well as the management discussion and analysis. Member 4 will identify sources of revenue and trends, compute ratios for measure of financial leverage, and then typically member 4 should also be the person that is going to help coordinate the putting together of the paper because they're not assigned to as many items. And then everyone's going to be responsible for the overall conclusions. You will put the name of the member. Again, member 1 will go on each line where it says member 1, member 2, the same thing. I would like you to outline when you expect to start the sections that you're doing, when you estimate you are going to finish. The next one is just in case you want to use it. It gives you a guideline of when you completed it. You want to have, there's a sheet here that you can talk about that it can be uploaded in your documents. It's just for tracking purposes for you. You'll also see that some of these questions, so question 7 has to be done before question 8 can be done. So member 1 needs members 2, 3, and 4 to finish that section before they can do question 8. So it's important to make sure you plan well for that part. The last thing I just mentioned is the peer evaluation. That is due Thursday of week 7, so there's nothing to really do for that for this week, but just so that you can see how it's set up. If we look at the 5-member, again, it's just broken down into 5 members then. So it's broken down a little bit differently. You're going to see that how the members are lined up, and you're just going to follow along with that scenario. Again, the person who seems to have the least amount is going to be the one that's going to do the putting together of the work. So try to think of that as you're planning those kind of things out. So that's what you're going to submit for the week 2 project plan. It's a plan to know who's doing what. And again, it tells you in here that it's advisable for 1 or 2 members of the group to take responsibility for the final editing or basically putting it all together. Make sure it's following APA requirements. Make sure you're meeting all of the expectations that are set up. Make sure you receive all the parts, things like that. Talk about in your group areas, talk about how to handle if you can't get something done so that you have a plan or something to prepare you. It also mentions in here for week 7, you're going to do an evaluation of your group. You're not going to evaluate yourself. You're only evaluating your other team members. There's a worksheet in here that we'll talk about in the week 7 overview, but it's here for your review so you can start thinking about how you're going to evaluate your team members. As far as the team project plan, there is a rubric of how it's going to be evaluated. It's worth a total of 50 points. All team members receive the same grade, so make sure that you remember that as you're going through. All right, that's all there is for week 2. So I hope that this gives you a clear indication of what is expected. If you have questions, by all means, please reach out. Thank you.